Before we get this video started, I'm just going to let you know that there is more than a likely chance that I'm going to spoil Jujutsu Kaisen for anime onlys. I've caught up to the current chapter 214, and there's a lot to talk about, so you've been warned. It's been a long time since I felt this way about a shounen manga and anime, and I do not say this lightly. It's a tale as old as time. One day you're just really bored and in need of something to watch, and with you sick and tired of rewatching the same shows you usually do, you decide to broaden your horizons a little bit and watch one of these titles, which then led to a lifelong fascination with the medium and Japan as a whole. I would say over the last decade we have seen a big decline in greats. I mean, there have been the occasional good shonen, binge-worthy ones like My Hero Academia, Black Clover, Demon Slayer, Dr. Stone, etc. But I'm talking greats like Naruto, Dragon Ball, Yu Yu Hakusho, One Piece, Bleach, you know, the big ones. The ones that leave ripples throughout time and define a whole generation. And yes, we have had Attack on Titan in the 2010s, but I'm pretty sure we can all agree that Attack on Titan has more of a seinen feel about it than it does with shonen. And more recently, we had shows like Chainsaw Man, which was a big success and something I feel that shonen really needed, and Blue Lock, which was just pure hype all the way through, and Bleach made a big comeback with the 1000-year Blood War arc. But if I'm being honest, before all those shows came out, I feel like the only shonen I was watching that I actually cared about was One Piece, which is actually one of the main reasons I stepped away from the genre for a little bit and shifted gears more towards seinen. I became a little edgelord, but with the help of a certain title, both my faith and devotion to the shonen genre has been restored, and it's all thanks to this little series called Jujutsu Kaisen and its creator Gege Akutami. I mean, ever since the Jujutsu Kaisen anime came out, I feel like it's been gripping the shonen genre from the balls. With currently 214 chapters, a single season of anime, and a movie to its name, Jujutsu Kaisen has blown past all expectations in tone, action, animation, music, and most importantly, inspiration. JJK isn't just another series coasting on the tropes and expectations of what we now define as shonen. It is a piece which actively absorbs those tropes, takes bits and pieces from what it needs, and distills it into a story all its own that holds an uncanny familiarity while still being entirely new at the same time. Jujutsu Kaisen is the culmination of someone who grew up with the same heroes as we did and jumps full force into the world of manga. And not only makes a splash, but a goddamn tsunami wiping out the competition entirely. This is Jujutsu Kaisen. Let's get into it. So what's the deal? What exactly makes JJK stand out from so many other shonen when there's already plenty to keep us occupied? Well, for one thing, there is a panda named Panda and a mecha named Mechamaru. So if that's not a good enough reason to watch it, I don't know what is. But if I'm being honest, Jujutsu Kaisen simply does everything right as a shonen. Jujutsu Kaisen is a story about curses and those who create and or destroy them. In this world, humans exude cursed energy, and this energy constantly radiates from us in pools and areas where negative emotions are at their highest. For instance, schools, hospitals, the DMV, Twitter, you know, the places that could very well be your 13th reason. When this energy is concentrated over a long period of time, a curse manifests a physical form, and they do what you expect curses to do: kill anyone and everyone and wreak havoc. However, the average Joe is completely unaware of these curses, and knowledge of such things are sequestered to a select few and those in positions of power. High curse energy areas will contain a hidden object in which to absorb the cursed energy from people's negative emotions in order to keep that cursed energy contained, hence the name curse objects. Now, cursed objects aren't invincible. They too decay over time, like my faith in humanity. If they aren't destroyed or replaced, they become an exceptionally larger hindrance than a simple curse. However, if an already physically manifested curse gets its hands on a cursed object and, say, consumes it, well, it will have its powers magnified substantially. Now, this setup right here, I love it. I really do. You have an alternate but realistic modern Earth where there's curses and cursed energy. It plays off the long-running and very familiar idea of negative, wrathful, or vengeful energy manifesting into the most horrific shit imaginable. That is the basic premises of the threat in Jujutsu Kaisen, giving it arguably its most unique aspect, horror. We have not seen a shonen with a straight horror inspiration since Bleach. I mean, sure, we had Promised Neverland, but look how that turned out. Even still, Promised Neverland was more of a psychological thriller than it was horror. However, the similarities to Bleach aren't gonna end there. If you have ever read the Bleach manga before, then you understand all too well exactly how amazing of an artist Tite Kubo is, from inking and design to showing character expressions. But after reading JJK, I can argue that Akutami is already at a similar level and even beyond in specific facets. With amazing art, deadly antagonists like curses, and a little horror to keep your heart rate going, all that's left for JJK to be classified as a good shonen is a power system. At the end of the day, all shonen is really about is fictional characters throwing hands, and what's needed to pull that off is a great power system. Not something like hockey or mana, because let's face it, those are some ass. Now, I'm not going to say that JJK's power system is by any means perfect. I mean, even Akutami has a hard time explaining the logic behind Gojo's power. I feel like JJK has the most unique power system in all of manga and anime. Akutami uses grounded theories but then finds an ingenious way to exploit them, like Gojo's Limitless, which uses the natural law of atoms not being able to touch each other and then expanding upon it and using new techniques like red and blue. Another innovative curse technique is projection sorcery, which to me was way harder to understand than Gojo's Limitless. It takes a modern invention of animation and weaponizes it by allowing a user to divide 1 second into 24 frames and move through them. While moving through them, the user can accelerate, but has to obey a predetermined set of motions. This can of course be avoided by using strategy, or just an old man playing the electric guitar and fucking up some random. Curse techniques are just really fucking cool. I mean, Toto was out here dancing and clapping his hands while beating the ever-living shit out of a special grade curse. And I love that the power scaling is so simple. It really is. Akutami explained it in the most simplest way possible. Grade 4, a wooden bat is enough. Grade 3, if you have a handgun, rest easy. Grade 2, close call with a shotgun. Grade 1, even a tank might be insufficient. Special grade, cluster bombs might work. As far as shonen goes, Jujutsu Kaisen really is in a league of its own. And I don't mean that it's the best shonen ever. I mean that JJK is so unique and something that's never been done before that you can't help but be incredibly fascinated by it. The story, the art, the characters, the motivations, the really dope moments like when every single sorcerer agreed that Gojo is the strongest. He is him. It's even stated in the manga that Gojo is the balance between sorcerers and curses. Yes, this one man's very existence is the key to absolute power. The manga and anime is just so much fun and I love every single moment of it. Besides JJK being a great story so far, it is visually gorgeous and boasts some of the most expressive characters and well-designed panel layouts of any manga I've ever read. This insane attention to detail and expression and movement was taken into consideration for the anime adaptation as well, and the animation by MAPPA is phenomenal, rivaling that to Demon Slayer. Now, I watched the anime and the movie before I read the manga, and I gotta say, I love how true the anime stayed to the manga. The animation really is just absolutely incredible, the perfect icing on the perfect cake. Like this panel right here is amazing to look at, but the anime just took it one step further and it really does justice by it. Watching the anime for the first time since episode 1, you were never dissatisfied with it. JJK is a fast-paced, action-packed shonen. Every episode and every chapter carries so much weight to the story. Unlike One Piece right now, I swear to God, One Piece episodes be leaving me with the biggest blue balls. But JJK is different. For instance, in the first 12 minutes of episode 1, Itadori's grandpa passed away, but not before leaving the motivation that our main character would then strive to live by. And with this single death, you start to understand that this story is going to be filled with heartache and sadness. Jujutsu Kaisen has a special kind of weight to death and tragedy, not in an AOT sense where all of a sudden the most deserving to live side character gets popped by a fucking 12-year-old for no fucking reason. No, it's more in the way of protecting lives comes with a desperate kind of struggle. A struggle that every Jujutsu sorcerer must face. But Itadori is always brought to the edge of self-sacrifice constantly. That can all be identified in the very first episode. And from there, it's some of the best fiction you will ever read and watch. And it's all thanks to this madman, Akutami, who came up with all of this. It really is crazy crazy to me how all these mangaka come up with such intricate stories and characters. Everyone in this show has such depth to their character. With a similar setup to that of Naruto, there's a well-defined central cast with excellent chemistry. However, there's also a much larger cast on the outside that adds to that and works to continue to develop the core characters as well as themselves. Add this to the fact that being included in this story requires you to be a deeply flawed individual who has to learn to control and harness the worst aspect of themselves in order to protect not only their life but the lives of others, and you have virtual planters for excellent characters. Gojo even said this himself, that being a little crazy is a requirement for Jujutsu sorcerers. And that's one of the best parts about JJK, seeing exactly what kind of person it would take to risk going head to head against curses, other sorcerers, godlike humans. No normal sorcerer gets a good death, whether you're a hero or a villain. And Akutami gave us this idea perfectly when Sukuna ripped out the shared heart of him and Itadori. Plot armor non-existent. People get hurt, people die. Our main trio are not always gonna win. Sometimes they make it out by the skin of their teeth. But what Akutami didn't prepare us for is how this man is the most cruel human being on the planet. He toys with your emotions, never letting you know even the smallest hint of peace. Every character you think is safe is going to end up dead sooner or later. Quote me on that. It feels like Akutami used the popularity polls to figure out who to kill next. He is someone who laughs in the face of your suffering and will twist and turn and burn your heart into a million fucking pieces. Now, one of the things that was most important to Gege Akutami when he was creating the series was the idea of it being a morally gray area. Now, what I mean by that is nobody in Jujutsu Kaisen is necessarily the good guy or the bad guy. It's all about how you look at it. These elemental curses exist because of the way that human beings have treated the earth. They want to get rid of humans because humans are just a problem. Jujutsu sorcerers want to protect humans and kind of keep the status quo going. The point is, you can see the sense being made in everybody's eyes. And on top of it, in some ways, Jujutsu Kaisen is humanity fighting a losing battle against itself. Obviously, we cannot stop negativity, as it is part of our nature. We can only keep it at bay and learn to control our emotions. Yet, those who fight these curses are bottling up the most negative parts inside of them, therefore making them mentally worse off than those who can let it out. You know, basically normal people. In some ways, it's a hopeless struggle without any real hope of ending. All in all, I think JJK has no real issues, at least not any that I can see at this point. My only real issues I guess I have with this title, if that's what you even want to call it, are these two simple things. The first one is I feel like Akutami kills off characters way too fast. I don't know what it is about New Gen, but they just be killing off every single character, but that shit is really annoying sometimes, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, Akutami writes amazing characters. Characters like Junpei, Mekamaru, Nanami, and so many others, all such good characters. Killed off so fast, like in the blink of an eye, and I get that their deaths advanced the plot and were necessary on some level. Can you imagine if Akutami continued to write Junpei? He could have had Mahito and Gojo as his mentors, both special class users. He was a Shikigami user with poison abilities. Do you know how broken he would have been? It's just disappointing to see such potential gone in a matter of moments. Even Akutami said he regrets killing off Junpei. And my second issue would have to be this guy. My only problem with this fake Geto is his grand evil plan. Kenjaku takes over bodies and has been alive for like 1,000 years. This guy even took over a woman's body and got clapped and gave birth to Itadori. Trapped Gojo basically put the Jujutsu world into chaos only for his grand evil plan to be the evolution of humans in Japan. He wants all humans to be Jujutsu sorcerers. With that, the curses should theoretically be wiped out. From the guy that has been pulling the strings since the very beginning, this plan is some ass. I mean, Mahito and Sukuna are better villains. It's a problem that's talked about a lot in JJK, how to stop curses from manifesting. But I feel like Kenjaku is not the person who should be tackling this problem, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, this man has been working with the curses from the very beginning. His way of going about it is just incredibly backwards to me. And even so, like I said, negative emotions are part of our very existence, making it impossible to wipe them out entirely. But other than those two things, I think JJK is honestly one of the best shonen I've ever read or watched. I wholeheartedly believe that one day this series is going to be looked back upon fondly as an excellent period piece, just like its inspirations. Watch it, read it, love it. And thanks so much for clicking on today's video. If you enjoyed, please make sure to like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below of your favorite JJK character. Mine is Inumaki because I don't know, I think cursed speech is just the most dope power ever. But that's all I have for you guys today, and I will see each and every single one of you next time.